Recording started here. Okay, great. I know we got a lot to cover, so I want to make sure we stay on time. Thanks, everybody, for joining our live webinar. We're happy to welcome you, including those loyal members of Seagate Insider. That's Seagate's partner program to today's event. We hope you find the content really valuable and that we exceed your expectations as always. Wanted to move to the agenda slide really quick to give you an overview. Our topic today highlights the challenges of creating a backup strategy and where QNAP fits in with a new hybrid backup sync. And thankfully, we are joined today by Eric Oliveros, Marketing Manager for QNAP Incorporated, to help unpack this a bit for us today, and he'll be leading off our presentation. And also joining Eric today will be Seagate's Austin Woodard, who's a Channel Sales Manager, to highlight how the right drive can complement the whole backup solution. My name is Joshua Walty. I'm Seagate's Global Branch Evangelist, and I will be your host for today's session. One note of a reminder before we kick things off, everybody here is on mute, but we do want to hear from you. So please use that chat box to send us questions or let us know if you're having any technical issues hearing us or seeing us. We'll be answering questions throughout the presentation. We have some folks behind the scenes to help us do that, as well as a formal Q&A at the end. So when you've got a question, please submit it on over to our panelists, and we'll make sure to serve that up. Also, another reminder that we will conduct a prize drawing for the QNAP, the TS231K NAS enclosure, and a pair of Seagate IronWolf drives at the end of the session after we run through that Q&A. So, as always, we hope you stay to play. And then we do get a lot of questions on this, so I just wanted to cover it quickly. Finally, all attendees of today's session will receive a follow-up communication with directions for how to access the presentation, as well as the video recording. So that's enough for me. I'm going to clear the floor, get out of the way, let the real experts do their thing. Let me see. Eric, do we have you on the line?
Yes, sir.
All right. The floor is yours, sir. I'm going to go ahead and give you the ball. And okay. Let's see what you've got for these people.
All right. Well, let's, where are we at? All right. How's my screen looking?
Looks good.
Okay.
Yep, there you go. You're full screen and ready to go.
All right. Oops. Okay, folks. Sorry about that. Having a little technical difficulties on my end. Hold on one second. All right, here we go. So thank you all for joining us today. And we're going to be talking about 3-2-1 backup strategy, how to use QNAP NAS for a 3-2-1 backup strategy using our hybrid backup sync feature.
And Eric, I just want to jump in. We are seeing your screen. It has your notes and your side slides. So is there a way to put that back into presentation mode?
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Oh, sure. One second. Sorry about that. How's that looking? Oh. Ooh, sorry about that.
Yep. You had it up. You had it up before. I think whatever you were doing.
Yeah. Is that? Hold on.
There you go. Looks good right now.
Okay. You good there?
Looks like it's reverting back to the slide view with the notes.
Oh, man.
Now, when you do that, right now the view is fine. We're seeing the full screen, full picture.
Okay. And that, you can see my notes?
Yep.
Okay. I'm using two screens here. I'm sorry about that. And still?
Yeah, now we're seeing the notes section.
Oh, shoot. I'm sorry about that. Hold on one second. I'll try this one more time.
That's the fun with a live event, Eric.
Yeah.
You get to do all this on the fly.
Still? Same?
Nope. Looks great.
We're good?
We are good. Leave it right there.
All right. So sorry about that. So we're talking about our 3-2-1 backup strategy and how to create a 3-2-1 backup strategy with QNAP using hybrid backup sync. So we're going to talk a little bit about, oh, it's not changing now. All right, there we go. So some of the challenges that companies may face, we're looking at growing amounts of data that, you know, as you get more data, it'll take a little longer for backup times. What compounds this is that more companies are backing up to the public cloud rather than the private cloud. So not only are users backing up more data, but they're also backing up at internet speeds instead of LAN speeds. So data gets larger and backup speeds get slower, creating bottlenecks and creating problems for everyone in the office. Adding to this, keeping versions of your backup, you'll also have more data to back up, which can have added costs if you back up to the cloud. So without a data reduction storage solution, you can have an expensive problem down the line. Oops. All right. So the solution is hybrid backup sync, which is an all-in-one backup and sync portal. And with that, we have QDedupe, which is a feature that we just recently added. Because of it, you also you'll need less space for backup, and because of deduplication, your backups take less time, and you'll use less bandwidth. Also, I'll get into QDedupe extraction tool as well, which you will need to extract and restore your deduplicated files and data. I'll get back into that in just a little bit. Also talk a little bit about a new protocol that we now support called TCP/BBR that can help accelerate backups to the internet. Also cloud support for object storage. And with all these ingredients, it'll help make your 3-2-1 backup strategy easy and efficient. Yeah, for some reason it's really. All right. So hybrid backup sync 3 provides 3 levels of backup. You have backup, replication, and sync. Each level depends on the amount of data and the size of the files that you plan on backing up. So you have backup here, which you have deduplication and versioning, which I'll get into a little bit. Because your files are deduplicated, the format of the files change. They're smaller, and you can't access or read them without extracting them. So your data is pretty much packaged and stored. So replication keeps the file the same size and the same format, which this is pretty good when you want to replicate data from Office A to Office B. And you got synchronization, which you sync your files, keeps your files the same size and same format. And it's two-way directional sync, which allows you to edit and share files. So if you have like an office that everybody's going to access files and pretty much stay on the same page, synchronization is the way to go. So we're going to get into data duplication technology, or QDedupe, first. Sorry about that. My slide transfer is a little slow here. So we offer block level deduplication. Block level means that we not only dedupe files that are duplicated files, but we also can deduplicate the blocks within the files. So for example, this VM you see here on the screen, it's 15.48 gigabytes VM. It can be deduplicated to 7.5 gigabytes because the blocks within the file can be deduplicated. So this doesn't just save space, but also the backups happen faster because you send them through, send the dedupe files to your network. So you don't have to send the whole 15 gig file. You're only sending the 7.5 gig file of data. So it's less bandwidth to take up, and backup happens a lot faster. So source side deduplication, this is important because an estimated amount of 80% of companies have adopted some kind of cloud solution for backups. The downside of the cloud is you can't back up to the public cloud faster than your internet. So for most, their internet is slower than their network speeds. So speeds can be an issue when you back up to public clouds, but with deduplication, you can reduce backup and storage space because it's less data that you have to send, so you clear up bandwidth. All right. Sorry about that. Okay, so we offer a pretty high compression ratio. So we're saying 5:1 to 20:1 might be what you can get in some scenarios. But each scenario can range all depending on the files and how many duplicated files you have. So in some cases, compression can be a lot higher than 20:1, but in some cases, it can be a little less than 5:1. So this is just kind of an average rate. So of course, with deduplication, backups happen faster because you send less data, but there's a few ingredients involved, such as parsing and decomposition of files. And how much time the process will take all depends on what kind of storage drives you use. So if you want to speed up the process, we absolutely recommend SSDs. Consider SSDs such as the new Seagate IronWolf Pro drives, which we have listed here, as you can see. So with SSDs, it definitely speeds up your rates here. And as you can see in the graph here, the numbers, it's more than double your backup time. It cuts more than double. All right, so we'll talk a little bit about multi-version backups. Backup time is a key factor in determining how many versions you want to have, and of course, the more the better. It's the more safety you have in case of any data loss if you have versioning. So again, more versions give you more safety. The more versions you have, the more recovery points you have to revert to in case of data loss. So with multi-versions of your backups, you also have the added protection against loss threats such as ransomware or accidental file deletion or malicious file deletion if you got a disgruntled employee that wants to go and delete files, or on accident as well. But of course, it's okay for the versions to pile up. It's not okay for the versions to pile up massive storage space. And if backing up your versions takes forever to do, then that can be a little problematic. So that is why we have deduplication. Deduplication gives you a better recovery point objective, which means versions. You have more versions, and it also gives you better recovery time objective. You can recover quicker and back up quicker with deduplication. So here we talk a little bit about when you deduplicate, your files are deduped to a QDFF file, which is a type of archiving. A QDFF is a format for dedupe data similar to a zip file. So it's a similar concept. You have to extract to access your data. So here in the diagram, as you see on the right top, you see before data. Once it's deduped, it's grouped into a smaller fragment of data. And just to be clear, you don't need the extraction tool when you extract on your NAS, which I will get into the extracting tool of when you need the extraction tool. The extraction tool is to restore your files directly to multiple platforms such as Windows, Macs, or Linux machines. So you can extract any version of your files or folders that you want, and you can restore them to whatever device you want. So when you want to extract on your NAS, because the data is on your NAS, you don't need the extraction tool. But if you want to take your duplicated data and extract it to other platforms, like you have Windows machines, Macs, or Linux, the extraction tool helps with that, and it makes it really easy. So the extraction tool makes it practical and easy to take your compressed data and extract it anywhere. You can back it up to another NAS, to another external device, to an external drive, to a public cloud, or to a PC. So you take your data like a thumb drive and basically restore your data from anywhere with the extraction tool. So having deduplication means it makes your backup faster, but because the data is deduplicated before sent through the internet, it's something, we need a protocol to support this. So something that we've done to make backups faster is supporting TCP BBR, which speeds a lot of things up during backup. So what BBR is, it's a congestion control technology that controls network traffic and packet transmission. So for example, if you send a bunch of files to the internet, files are broken up into packets. TCP BBR controls how many packets are sent per second. So if you send too many and your system gets bogged down, it'll bog things down and slow things down. So TCP BBR controls traffic to avoid over congestion, and it improves your bandwidth. It utilizes your bandwidth. So here we get into, if you're in an environment where packet loss happens easily, TCP BBR helps a bunch. That's where it's most effective. For example, when you send packets like a really long distance, for example, as you see here, this is packets that are sent from Taiwan to London. So you got two different points of delivery. Your packets have to be forwarded a bunch of times. So that's more times that you transfer stuff, you have more chances for packet loss. So that's where BBR really helps. When you send data a really long distance, we've seen 4 to 5 times improvement on the speed and delivery, as you can see here. So you have, when you disable TCP BBR, you're looking at 1.9 megabytes per second. When you enable TCP BBR, you're looking at 4 to 5 times speeds on your data transfer. Oops, all right, sorry. So because we support TCP BBR and storage side deduplication, this helps make things faster and really makes things easier and efficiently to follow your 3-2-1 rule. You want to have remote backups in case something happens on site, and you can make that happen faster and easier compared to just storing it on the cloud. And then the long term as well, your data, it becomes a little expensive once you back up everything directly to the cloud. So if you back up to an NAS or back up to other devices in the long term, it'll make things a lot more affordable for you. So here we get into, speaking of cloud, if you want to back up to the cloud with Hybrid Backup Sync, you have a lot of options for cloud backup as well. The solution works great with both on file level and object level storage. And so these are the file and object storage providers that we're compatible with as of now. There's actually a few more than 22. We have 22 listed here, though, but there's a lot more since we had a few updates in the last couple of months. We also have other providers that are S3 compatible as well. So if you do back up to a public cloud, you can always run a virtual machine on the public cloud, run the extraction tool on the virtual machine. You can easily extract your data from the cloud without having to download anything locally. And that's all I have. So again, with QNAP's Hybrid Backup Sync, it gives you the best way to plan your 3-2-1 backup strategy easily and efficiently, and it gives you several options. And that's all I have today. I'll pass it.
Eric. See that? We got through everything at the head end, and it just went smoothly. Looks good on my end. I know we have questions coming in fast and furious. We'll take a quick moment before we dive into the Seagate side of this. We did have one question that came up. Somebody wanted to know, just generally, what are the 3 levels of backup that the HBS3 provides? I think you covered that, but I think we just wanted to circle back if somebody did join late.
Yeah, the 3 levels of backup. We have you have backup, you have sync, and you also have, I'm sorry here. So you have backup, sync, and replication. So whatever scenario that you, all depending on how much data you want to back up, you could do a backup to archive your data and keep it stored. If you want to replicate data from location A to location B, we have replication. And sync, if you want to back up your data and have everything synchronized in multiple locations, sync's the option to go.
Terrific. Great. I know we have more questions, Eric, but what we'll do is let you catch your breath. I'm going to pivot over to Austin and see if we can get the Seagate perspective on this. Austin, let me go ahead and pass you the ball. Make sure that you are in control and everything you see is what we see. So let me know when you've got that.
I think I got it.
Hey, I want to be there. Wherever that was, that's where I want to be. All
Me
right.
too.
Looking
I wish
good
I
on
could go
our
there
end,
right now.
All right, Austin, the floor is
Currently
yours.
stuck at home. All right. Thanks, Joshua, and thanks, Eric. So like Joshua said, my name is Austin. I'm an account sales manager here at Seagate, covering our channel OEM partners for both NAS as well as gaming. And so today, gonna kind of go off of Eric's presentation and talk about, the best drives that you can use inside of a QNAP NAS, which is our IronWolf product line. So our IronWolf product line consists really of 4 different drives, 2 different hard drives and 2 different SSDs. The most recent addition to this product family was the IronWolf 510, about 3.5 months ago now. So this is our newest SSD. It's the M.2 NVMe SSD. Also in the SSD product family, we have the IronWolf 110, which is a 2.5-inch SATA. And then, of course, the tried and true IronWolf Standard and IronWolf Pro hard drives up to 16 terabytes on both of those as well. So anything that we consider making under the IronWolf product family umbrella, we want to consider these 3 pillars, or these 3, let's call them pillars, for the products to, make sure we meet these requirements, I guess. So we want to make sure that they're tough. We want to make sure that they're going to be ready, and we want them to be scalable as well. So all of our hard drives are going to fall under these 3 categories. So we're offering, top of the line workloads per year on the up to 300 terabytes per year. We're making sure that, these drives are going to be able to be withstanding 24 hours, 7 days a week, spend time. They're going to be always there and able to, access and store data, recover data, backup data, whatever it is. And then, we're going to be making sure that we're using the proper technologies as well, in order to, increase the reliability, and performance, and that, a multi-base system hard drive is going to require. And, they're going to be ready as well, for any situation. So these are hard drives going inches away from each other. So there's natural, environmental, variables, that are going to need to be considered when these drives are being used. And we put sensors inside of all of our hard drives in order to help, record that data, as well as, manage it and manage those variables and make sure that the drives are up and ready and accessible when you need them. And they're scalable as well, because we offer the widest range and capacity in the industry, from 1 terabyte to 16 terabytes. Top of the line performance as well. And then we're going to be compatible with all of QNAP systems as well. And we work very closely with them on new products and new capacities that we roll out with in the future to make sure that those are compatible with the systems as well. So this is kind of looking at the difference between IronWolf and IronWolf Pro, as well as our competition. Some key differences are really, you want to pay attention to the multi-base support. So the standard IronWolf hard drive can only be put into a system that is 8 bays. The IronWolf Pro is up to 24 bays. So when considering which model to go with, that's definitely something you want to be paying attention to. You also want to pay attention to the workload, right? So IronWolf Pro can withstand a lot more abuse than the IronWolf, the standard IronWolf. Something else to pay attention to is the warranty difference, as well as the included Seagate Rescue Recovery service on the Pro model. That's a huge service that we offer that's completely in-house. Everything is done underneath a Seagate roof. so you don't have to worry about any, third party mishandling your data and, stealing the data or anything like that. It's all done under Seagate and handled through Seagate support. So it's a very valuable service that we offer that's included no extra cost on the IronWolf Pro. And then also we want to pay attention to the reliability, right? We want to make sure that, you're considering that the IronWolf Pro does have a longer mean time between failures as well. So shifting gears to the SSD side of the IronWolf product family, again, we want these to be tough, ready, and scalable. We're offering endurance class SSDs for client-based SSD prices. We're offering 5-year limited warranties on all of the SSDs. We're offering that Seagate Rescue Recovery service across all of the SSDs as well for 2 years. And then, we're also making sure that these are going to be able to be used in a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week environment. We're actually offering power loss data protection on the 2.5-inch SATA IronWolf 110 SSD. And then the health management, IronWolf Health Management is something else to consider as well when thinking about an IronWolf hard drive or SSD, because we do offer them on both. Which is a proprietary software that we offer on our Pro models as well as our SSDs, soon on our SSDs, that is actually seamlessly integrated with QNAP's QTS, and it records data from those sensors that we were talking about, or I was talking about a little bit earlier, and it takes that data and that information. We use various algorithms and software to be able to send you alerts and reports on, weekly, daily, monthly basis. When something goes wrong, it'll send you an email or however you want to communicate with the system to let you know that, this drive is going bad, or this drive is at the end of its life, or this, whatever it is, it'll send you those little tidbits of information, which is good when managing a NAS system. And then it's scalable as well. So we're offering, high sequential read and write speeds on the SSDs. We're offering a wide range of capacities as well. And then we're making sure that these are good for both situations of an all-flash array as well as a tiered cache system. And then similar slide as before, side by side of the 110 and the 510 and our competition. So the IronWolf 110, of course, is a 2.5-inch SATA SSD, so you're limited to the amount of speed that you can get out of that. So that runs at about a sequential read of 560 megabytes per second, where the IronWolf 510, of course, PCIe NVMe Gen 3 is up to about 3,100 megabytes per second. So definitely an upgrade when you're talking about sequential performance. If you look at the endurance and the drive writes per day, that's really where Seagate and the IronWolf SSDs stand out the most. So we're offering a 1 drive write per day on client SSDs, which is, of course, as you can see, not in our competition, not in the realm of our competition. We're blowing them out of the water across the board. And then, we're offering power loss data protection as well as the 5-year warranty, and then that 2-year data rescue recovery service as well. Going into a little bit more detail on, since this is a new product that we launched about 3 months ago, this is kind of a little bit more information on the IronWolf 510, gives you the random reads and random writes information, as well as, active average power usage at 6 watts. And then also those ST model numbers down there, you will want to take note of that if you are going to distribution, or if you're just Googling, a model number or want to know where it's sold. You definitely want to take note of those down there as well. So Eric kind of touched on this a little bit earlier. There's QNAP offers queue tiering inside of all their systems. So it uses an algorithm in order to organize the data based on the certain drives that you have in your system. So if you have, as in this picture right here, 4 SSDs and 4 hard drives, right, it's going to organize the data that you use most often on those SSDs as a tiered cache, and then all the data that you're not using that often on the hard drives as your cold data. So this is just displaying how that all works. On the next slide, it's displaying, the different type of the different type of slot that you can use. So some of QNAP's systems actually come with an M.2 slot inside, built on the side or the back of the system. This is showing it on the side of the system, and it has 2 slots. So you're actually able to, instead of taking up a slot or an expansion card, an expansion card slot, or if you don't have an expansion card, you can actually just plug it into the side of the system and still use the IronWolf 510 as a tiered cache as well, and not have to take up those slots. And then this is, of course, showing the other side of things. This is just showing, using an expansion card, the QM2 that QNAP offers as an option to plug into the back. And it all works. All of our IronWolf 510 capacities are qualified for the QM2 and able to, work inside of all QNAP systems. So definitely worth checking out. And then something else to note as well is to always double check the compatibility lists on QNAP's website. We also offer compatibility lists as well on Seagate's website. So do go check either one of those out and make sure that your system and hard drive or SSD is compatible with the models that you're looking for and that you're getting the correct equipment. With that, that is all the slides that I have, Joshua. So what I'll do is for any additional questions that anybody has, like Joshua said, do type them in the chat. If something comes up later on in the future, I will be posting my email here in the chat as well as the Q&A. Feel free to email me at any time with any questions, and I am happy to point you in the right direction if I can't help or answer your questions. So I'll hand it back to you, Joshua.
All right. Thanks, Austin. That was great. I'm going to circle back here in just a minute. What I wanted to do was jump in very quickly and make a plug for Seagate Insider for Partners. For any of today's attendees who are channel resellers, integrators, consultants, or even business owners, membership is free in the program and gives you access to the latest tools, sales aids, training, support materials, all that from Seagate, not to mention more invites to sessions like we're doing today. If you're not a member, we encourage you to take a few minutes and sign up after the webinar, and you can do that here, seagate.com/partners, and we're going to have folks enter in their questions. What I wanted to do also, if I could, I know, Austin, you covered this really quick, but in terms of where to go for checking compatibility, we do have folks that have let us know that they've visited the QNAP side of the house, but what I wanted to do was show that solutions page. So you should be seeing the page off of Seagate.com right now, which is really devoted to NAS solutions. And as you scroll down the page, it does give you that portfolio overview that Austin covered. Here's the compatibility here. So obviously you can go in here, choose your manufacturer. We know the one that we want to choose today. And all those models are usually kept up here. Also wanted to keep scrolling down this page for you a bit. Wanted to point out some stuff that may go overlooked. We do post quite a few articles here ongoing. So if you're looking for case studies, how folks maybe in your type of industry, your type of application are using these products, you will see down here as we get through some of the page, those articles are here. And so I would check back often. We always have folks who are giving us great case studies and things like that. So much on this page. I didn't want to belabor it too much, but Austin gave it a good plug. I wanted to give it a good look so you guys can see where to go. We've put that link also in the chat here today, so you can take a look at that, and we can put that in future communications going forward. I wanted to pivot to the Q&A section. I know both Eric and Austin, you guys have had a chance to look at it. Maybe we'll go kind of in order. Eric, if you've seen some questions come in that are top of mind, feel free to maybe address some of those now. Otherwise, I know I have kind of a running list that have come to me directly. So let's start with you, Eric. Maybe Eric is muted. Let me see if I can unmute. There you are.
I was reading
you got
questions.
Yeah, I know. There's a ton. They're coming in. What seems top of mind, Eric? What would you like to address?
I'm looking. It looks like Deval's killing them all, but just trying to recap some of the questions that we have here. Can you dedupe encrypt data during the backup? Yes, we support encryption. Is there a bootable extraction tool to restore whole computer backups? Unfortunately, we don't currently have that, a bootable tool, but we might check in our roadmap. We might have that coming up. Can QNAP detect disks that are SRM? We have a list of compatible disks for QNAP. If you look on our compatibility list, you'll see all of the disks that we're compatible with. Let's see, going down. When should we use backup versus replication? That's a pretty good question here. So backup is useful so when you just want to make sure you have a copy of your data at a different location. So if you just want to back up and store your stuff, as I said, if you want to just put it in the closet, put your stuff in the closet, you don't want to access it, you just want to have a backup, keep a copy, put it in the safe, backup is your way to go. Replication is when you want to replicate, say you have a new office, you have Office A and Office B, you want to replicate all the data from Office A to Office B. It's not going to synchronize. You're not going to be able to collaborate. You're just copying, basically taking one copy of data to another data. So synchronization, just to add to this, sync is when it comes into play when you want to synchronize. So you have different locations. You're working, you're editing, or you're working on files, on different types of files where you're constantly working, and you want to collaborate. Sync's the way to go on that. I got some pretty good questions here. Probably detecting IronWolf SATA drives up to 16. So here's a good one for Seagate, for IronWolf drives. Are QNAPs capable of detecting IronWolf SATA drives up to 16 terabytes? Yes, we're compatible with all Seagate drives right now. IronWolf, for IronWolf drives, we're compatible up to 16 terabyte drives. Any NAS use NVMe? Well, here's a good question for NVMe drives. Do any of the NAS models use NVMe drives as a caching device? Yeah, we have several models that support M.2 NVMe's for either caching or just you can use it just as a storage pool, or for Q-tier as well. Q-tier is what Austin mentioned. Q-tier technology recognizes your hot and your cold data, and it'll store your cold data on SATA drives, and it'll store your hot data on M.2 drives. Oh, some good questions. Let's see. Can you use QNAP NAS for Mac Time Machine backups? Yes, you could. We're compatible. You can use a hybrid backup sync app, which allows you to use a NAS as a time machine backup. Let's see. Anybody have any other questions here? Oh, here we go.
I'm running through mine as well, Eric. We did have one come in about versioning. I don't know. I think you touched on it, but somebody wanted to know, kind of from a takeaway from this session, what are the two things that versioning protects you from?
Oh, gotcha. So versioning, it's basically similar to well, you take a certain point in time where your data as backup, and you can have different versions of your data. So that it's good if you want to protect yourself from ransomware. Say somebody gets a hold of your data, you can just version back to the previous version of your data, or accidental or intentional deletion. What happens? We delete a file, we delete a block of data, and you can always version back and recoup your data. And versioning is very, very, very helpful for that.
Yeah. I mean, you can tell people are really getting into the idea of backup, and these are just sort of the subtle nuances that the product suites bring to the table. We did have another one, Eric, came in. Somebody wanted to know with QNAP, the extraction tool, do you need the NAS to restore your files?
Okay, good question. So for the NAS, since your data is on your NAS, you don't need the extraction file on the NAS. But the extraction tool, is awesome for when you want to extract your data onto another device. So like a Windows device, a Mac device, or a Linux device, pretty much anything. The extraction tool, you just download the tool on that machine, and you could extract your data just like a zip file. So it basically unzips all your data onto whatever device you want to extract it to.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, I know we're going to have more questions coming in our live session here. I did want to make sure that Austin had a chance. Austin, I know you've looked at a few questions. I'll kick you off with a couple that came in during your presentation. We have a greater awareness now, not just of the IronWolf product line for NAS, but also people are really starting to take notice of Exos. So somebody did want to know, IronWolf preferred over Exos. Is it application specific? Is it device specific? What's your kind of high level for that when somebody asks you that it goes?
Yeah, so it's a good question. I think the easiest way to look at it is the Exos is our, flagship multi-base system drive, right? So it's going to be able to withstand anything and everything that you throw at it. You can put it into any type of system with any amount of bays, with any amount of workload, and it's going to perform at the highest level. IronWolf is going to be, tailored towards the SME customer where, they're working on a budget. They don't necessarily need the latest and greatest technology. They don't need that highest performance because they're not using it, right? I think the best analogy to think is, if you buy a sports car and you don't take it on the freeway, you don't really know the power of the sports car, right? Unless you take it onto the freeway. So I think that, if you don't need it and you're working on a budget, the IronWolf is perfect for it. And it's ideal with all the extra added features as well. Because, someone that's working on a budget may not have the opportunity to go purchase software packages, purchase other products to overlay onto the system to be able to manage it the same way that you would be able to with the IronWolf drive, like using the IronWolf Health Management, as well as, the added Seagate Rescue and Recovery service that we offer only on our IronWolf product line. So I hope that kind of answers the question properly.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, it's a great problem to have, right? When people are looking over the line and they're kind of moving up the performance stack. And here again, we've done just a off the cuff poll here today, and we have a mix of prosumers, power users, resellers across the board. So a lot of great homework being done out there on the drives for NAS. One more question that came in for me, Austin, and then I'll let you kind of take over what you see is, you touched on this, but somebody just wanted to clarify if all the IronWolf HDDs use CMR technology.
They do, yes. All of our IronWolf, both IronWolf and IronWolf Pro, only use conventional magnetic recording. None of them use any other type of technology.
Got it. That's what I thought. I just want to make sure we stress it here today. And then if you had a chance to run through anything that's come up in either chat or Q&A, what piques your interest, Austin? Any questions out there you want to address?
Yeah, there's a few here. Someone asked, are the IronWolf SSDs MLC or TLC? The IronWolf SSDs use an MLC, a MLC cache, but the main piece of NAND that everything's stored on is TLC. Which drive would you recommend for a creative environment? It really depends on what exactly you're doing. A lot of the times in a creative environment, you're editing 8K, 4K video. That takes a lot of workload. So I would recommend the Pro models over the standard models. It also depends on the system itself, right? How many bays you're actually using and everything like that. And then does Seagate offer any software encryption to download for external hard drives? The answer to that is no. We don't have any software encryption. We offer products underneath our LaCie brand on the external side that will have device encryption, so hardware encryption, but no software encryption. And then I think Jason was answering some of these questions as well. So thank you, Jason, for doing that.
Yeah, I was gonna pop back in. You covered something that kind of gets overlooked with the IronWolf drives themselves is the whole idea of having rescue data recovery services, right? Having that protection against unexpected data loss, and our industry-leading 90% recovery success rate. Somebody that sort of hit a nerve. Somebody wanted to know. They thought it was great, number one, but they also wanted to know if we could describe kind of how does that process work. How does the data recovery claims process work? And I know it might be a little bit different from one region to the next, but can you give folks just a high level, Austin, how that might work?
Yeah, it's actually a super simple process. First and foremost, you want to make sure that you register the drive as soon as possible. And then really all it is just contacting our support services and giving them a call, and they'll walk you through the entire process. They'll help you submit the claim. They'll help you with next steps. They'll help you with mailing the drives, where to mail them, and everything. And I kind of mentioned it a little bit before. Everything's happening underneath the Seagate roof. So, there's nothing to worry about in terms of data loss or data safety or, anything like that. So yeah, it's actually a super simple process.
Got it. Yeah, I think those were really the key questions that had come in. Were sort of more variations on a theme of kind of IronWolf versus Exos from a performance standpoint. We do have a few people in the session today that are from the creative space. So people wondering, if I'm working in a creative environment, does that environment dictate whether I'm going to be focused on IronWolf or should I go consider Exos? I think you covered that, a bit, and I'm sure there's some direction on the QNAP side when you start looking on their site, depending on the enclosure as well. But yeah, I think it's been great. A lot of questions coming in. I think we've covered a lot. I think as we round things out, what I wanted to make sure is that we had some final thoughts. So Eric, why don't you, if you had some final thoughts to leave these folks with, knowing that we have that mix of prosumers, power users, resellers, or kind of across the board, or if somebody is just sort of thinking about diving into getting a NAS for, let's say, a small to medium business or home office, what would you recommend?
Right. Well, we absolutely have a solution for you. If you're looking for a NAS, regardless of budget, regardless of capacity, connectivity, we have different formulas that we can offer you. We have large NAS models with low performance that you just want to archive and back up your storage. We also have smaller solutions for like photography, videography, folks in the creative space. That we have small and large solutions out there that offer. We have the industry first and only right now Thunderbolt 3 NAS with 10 gig connectivity, so you can store all your photos, all your data directly to the NAS through Thunderbolt. And also for collaboration, we also have you can connect to the network, so you have multiple editors and multiple folks working on a project. You can do it simultaneously. And we also have a lot of NAS for prosumers and entry level. If you just want to kick the tires and get your feet wet regarding a NAS, you're wondering like, all right, I have cloud storage, I want to see what a NAS is all about. We have solutions, 2-bay NAS, 1-bay NAS. Well, of course, you want redundancy, so I'd recommend starting with the 2-bay NAS, but we have solutions starting a little over $200. And again, we have compatibility. Our Seagate, we're compatible with all Seagate drives. We have NAS for if you want all flash, if you want add M.2 in our prosumer or SMB NAS. We have most of our NAS can support M.2s and SSDs. So you can if you have some Seagate drives, you can throw them in our NAS and it'll work seamlessly. And again, somebody asked how large capacity we support. We support up to 16 terabyte Seagate IronWolf Pro drives. And yeah, so I mean we're a great solution. We recommend please check out our website, and you can see all the different solutions, different scenarios for what if whatever you want to use the NAS for. We have stuff you can read more about it on www.qnap.com.
Cool, and I think that will also answer this. We did have somebody quickly ask, besides just tabletop models, desktop models, you guys are also in the rack mount game, right? 2U and that kind of stuff. Is that right?
Absolutely. We have rack mount solutions, our enterprise solutions, our Xeon powered NAS, our rack mount NAS. We have dual controller NAS models that we just came out with. And again, you can scale up to a whole petabyte of data with our rack mount NAS model. So yeah, I mean, we'll check out our website as well for our enterprise storage. Our bread and butter when QNAP, when we came out, we busted out in the scene was SMB and enterprise. We slowly evolved into the smaller NAS, the consumer and the prosumer market within the last 6-7 years. But what we're primarily known for is our SMB NAS models and our enterprise, because that's what planted the flag for us. But yeah, again, any type of solution, small for home, for prosumer, for SMB, for creatives, and as well as enterprise storage. We have whatever solution, whatever size you're looking for, whatever capacity you need at whatever budget as well.
Very cool. And I know, Austin, you've covered a lot of ground here today. So some final thoughts here to round out the whole backup package. What would you recommend for folks? Kind of just trying to put this all together in something that they can use in their own environment.
I would recommend really deep diving into the application. Kind of touched on it a little bit, right? About the difference between, or why would you choose IronWolf over Exos? Really understand the application that these drives and the system is going to be going into, and get the appropriate drive for that application. It's easy to just pick the most expensive, flagship hard drive, but really you could be saving money on your end or your customer's end, right? And being able to apply that in other places. I would really recommend deep diving into, what the application is and getting the proper drive for it, whether it be the standard hard drive or the Pro or the Exos. And feel free to reach out to, customer support. Feel free to reach out to me. I put my email in the chat if you had a specific application or anything like that you wanted to ask more in-depth questions on. Happy to help, happy to point you in the right direction. But yeah.
Very cool. And also very happy to have another session. I think we've got so many questions. A lot of people are engaged. We're definitely going to have QNAP back on our stage. And at that, I do want to thank Eric. Thanks for coming aboard. Thanks for giving us a run through on backup strategy. Also, Austin, thanks for knocking that out of the park. We did pull a name out of the hat, so I wanted to read that on the air. So Todd Condren, if you're out there, please shoot me an email, joshua.walty@seagate.com. We've got a NAS package for you, both the enclosure and the drive. So we want to make sure to give them a good home. From all of us here at Seagate, thank you so much. Eric, Austin, thank you. And we'll see you guys in the next session.
Thank you,
all
guys.
Right. Take care, everybody.
Thanks, Joshua.
You bet.